So if you've been cruising on your Oyster, your Swan, your X-Yacht or something similar to that and you're ready to give motorboat cruising a go, this boat is for you. But you could also do that on a Palm Beach or a Riviera or a Nordhaven, for example. So what is it about this Sabre 58 Salon Express that makes her one of the loveliest hulls that I've driven and also suitable for a harsh Aussie environment? So the Sabre 45 Salon Express is one of the nicest hulls I've ever driven offshore in big rolling seas comfortably at speed. So is this hull going to be anything similar or anything different? What's it going to be like? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sabre 58 Salon Express. More like 65, 66 feet overall. And welcome to America. Thank you for all coming and saying g'day at the boat show. We've just been to the Newport, Rhode Island boat show, and a lot of you have stopped and made a point of saying hello, so I feel very welcome. This place is awesome. You guys are awesome. It's a little bit confusing. Your markers are around the wrong way. You drive on the wrong side of the road, and you have different names for a lot of basic things. Ordering coffee, cheese toasties. I was getting a little bit confused, but it's all good fun. So here we are on, as you can probably see, a very rainy day, but this is going to be a real test for many of you who I believe are going to be interested in this boat. I suspect quite a few of you are going to be coming from your Oyster or your Swan or your X-Yacht style of sailing yacht, and also obviously many of you are going to be pure power boaters looking for something super gorgeous, super elegant, and from what I've already discovered on the 45, very capable. Because this boat will cruise very efficiently at slow speed, so you can do your range if that's what you're used to. Say you've come from your sailing background, but you got the option to go fast. And on a day like today, when the weather's turned, and say you just want to go somewhere else, that's where this Sabre is going to free up your boat life. So I think it's time to get going. My name's Dan Jones, by the way. You're watching Dan's Boat Life. Welcome. Hello from wherever you're watching from. We are running the Volvo IPS 950s with 725 shaft horsepower. Just to explain to some of you who don't understand why they call it the Volvo 950, but it's got 725 horsepower, it's because it's the equivalent of a 950 horsepower on a straight shaft, because you are very efficient with these IPSs throwing the thrust forward and aft at the perfect angle. So you will notice that when we accelerate, which we're going to do right now. Alrighty, I'm going to call out the fuel. I'm going to do it in gallons. I don't know what a gallon is, not exactly, but I know a lot of you do because you're always writing to me. So we're in America, let's talk American. We're going to just call out the fuel flow in gallons. I have actually just completely fueled the boat up, and so we are 100% fuel. Got a few neighbours just overtaking me on port, so I'll just let them do that, and I'm going to go through their wash before I accelerate. And we have another Sabre coming up on port side, I believe. That's another 58 Salon Express, so that's cool. And he's given us the horn to say good days. Everyone's really friendly around here. I am enjoying this. Okay. How's the timing? I hope that comes up. I don't have a camera pointing in that direction. Alrighty. We're going to let him overtake us. These are foreign waters to me, so I'm not going to do anything silly. And now we're going to get on the plane. Alright, from 8 knots, coming up through 10 knots now. That's 1,120 revs. That's giving me a 10 gallons per hour total. We are 100% fuel. So we got 3,000 litres. What's that in gallons again? About 800 gallons, I think. I'll leave it down below on the screen right now in case I've got that wrong. In 2 tanks. You can't join them, so they're fueled separately. Apparently that's the law over here in America. So in case you blew one of those hoses and went into the bilge, you don't run diesel into the ocean via the bilge pump, which is quite sensible. So just accelerating now, 1,200, 1,300 revs. I'm just doing a slow acceleration, guys. Got my windscreen wipers working today. Visibility is one of the things that I note immediately on this vessel. So in a rotten day like we have today, from essentially I can see pretty much all points. I'm doing 17 gallons per hour at 11.5 knots, and the boat's attitude is still quite level. We've got Volvo interceptors, so not trim tabs. They're like an interceptor that drops down to do automatic trimming for us, which is what we do have. I'm just going to speed up those windscreen wipers one setting and come up through the power a little bit. Brand spanking new boat, this one. Just hitting 13 knots, 1400 revs. We'll get up to 1500. All right, I can feel the boat really moving there. 26 gallons. 14 knots. She wants to go faster, guys. I just wanted to give you an explanation of the fuel flows through the rev range. 1650, 15 knots and climbing. 15.5 knots, 16 knots. Okay, 40 gallons an hour at 1900 revs, giving us 19 knots. Similar to the 45, the noise levels are incredibly quiet on this boat. There's a couple of things going on there. We have the engines aft of this door back here, so they're actually underneath the back cockpit, the area where you're going to go out and socialize, so they're not connected with the saloon at all. So we got a really good amount of, location is wise, but insulation is excellent, is what I'm trying to point out to you there. So we're really just creeping along at 19 knots. The boat wants to go faster. Very minimal bow raise, not noticeable from the helm. I'm going to remain at the standing position for this drive. We're going to have a bit of an eagle lookout because there are lobster pots in this area, and with this much rain, we want to make sure. I got two sets of eyes looking forward. And 21.5 knots, 44 gallons, 2020 revs. Luxurious. Let's increase that speed again. Now she's starting to feel like she's in a happy place. At 2,100 revs, we're getting 22.7 knots. The boat's assumed just a really comfortable attitude here. I'm not feeling the need to do any trim at all. Just going through some boat wash there, and I'm just going to turn down swell with that. We do have a seatkeeper on board, not activated. Feels good. So they carry their dead rise quite a way aft, these hulls. So I did experience that on the 45 when we were crashing through or gliding over 3 meter swells. You don't get so much of a slamming effect as you might have heard on some of the other boats that I've tested when you come off a wave. We're not going to have that experience today because we're inshore, but it's noticeable when you're running up and down the coast. And at 49 gallons total per hour, giving us a speed return of 22.8 knots at 2,100 revs, you could make cups of coffee whilst you're running your way up and down the coast, or in beautiful Newport, Rhode Island, or tell you what, all the way up and down the coast here in the States, because there is so many nice places to visit where they sell fresh lobster. They got waterfront locations. I've only been here for not even a week, but the amount of places that you can go and visit and enjoy on a boat are epic. Way more than us. Okay, I'm going to take the boat through a turn now. I'm just going to go to starboard, more clear around, and then I'm going to speed up on the way home. All right, taking the boat through a turn at speed to port. Okay. Not doing a hard turn because I don't think you would. Now, a couple of observations. Visibility, excellent. Windows high on the port side. The boat is leaning, so it feels sporty, but it's not aggressive. So if you've got a passenger on board who's perhaps not used to boating, this is perfectly comfortable. All right, just going into some wind here. And now I'm going to start increasing my speed. Alrighty. Tell you what, couldn't have picked a nicer day. My visibility has dropped considerably. I might not be able to actually do full speed here, guys, because I can't even see if there's lobster pots up ahead. Let's just see if this is going to clear. No, I think that's a little bit unwise right now to accelerate. Okay, so 24.6 knots, 2,240 revs, 56 gallons an hour. I'm just going to bring the boat up to wide open throttle. We'll just see what we can achieve in what is, sure enough, not a very nice day. But that's why you have a design like this, guys. Having such good visibility, sound insulation on a good hull makes life bearable, makes it enjoyable. And I think we all got to face the facts that it's not always sunshine and rainbows. So having a boat that will go out in any weather probably just going to extend your boat life. Sitting on 29 knots there now at 2,530 revs, 73 gallons an hour. That's not wide open throttle. Now that's foot to the floor right there. 29.8, 29, 30 knots. 30 knots easy, 2,560 revs. I'll play with the trim in a second. 77 gallons total per hour. And a little bit of trim up slows me down to 29.7. A little bit of trim down, speeding me up, I would say. Yep, 30 knots, 30 to 30.2, and very comfortable. All right, let's come off the plane now. And we will just have a play with the joystick to do some parking simulations. So even from the helm position, looking through the back windows, you can get a good handle on your wash. It's never going to come up into the cockpit on this design. It's only going to go on the swim platform because you do have a couple of stairs before you get up to that cockpit. And I must say, from a solo operator perspective, I suspect many of you are going to be thinking about operating this boat solo. Having the helm off to starboard and this door here is very beneficial. We've already brought the boat into the fuel dock today and done a little bit of manoeuvring from a very tight spot where we only had a metre on either side, bow and stern, leaving the boat show. And I think that position from a shorthand operator's perspective is probably the favoured position. You can open the door, access the deck, go forward, go aft, but also operate the joystick from inside the boat or standing outside on the deck if that's how you prefer. But let's transition to joystick now. No one behind me, neutral. Now, as you may have seen on my 45 video, you can actually just drive these boats with the joystick and do joystick steering. It's very luxurious. I'm not going to do that today. It's the kind of thing you would do on an offshore run, eating up the miles, but this is a wonderful position to do that from. You have the footrest. It is adjustable, I think. I'll check that in the walkthrough. But this is very comfortable. This feels like ultra leather. This is about as good as you get from a comfort perspective, and we are quite raised. So me at 5'7", I've got good visibility out through the helm, through the windscreen just here. But if I was taller, so if you go up a little bit, you're still going to have very good visibility. It's only the super tall guys. Say if you were 6'5", this wood here might interfere with your visibility, in which case, I don't know if you can adjust this seat. We'll check that out in the walkthrough. So just going to do a stop the boat. I've got it in low mode. Next thing worth pointing out, when you activate the joystick, it turns on the reverse camera, and then when you go back to throttles, the camera stays on, so you don't lose that viz. You have to actively then press the home screen. I think that's quite clever, just from an operational perspective, but let's just spin the boat around. Now just remember, this hull has been designed for IPS. That's why it's quite flat and predictable attitude, and then when it means maneuverability in the dock, like we have right now, the thrust is going to be making its way under the boat with ease. There's no obstructions from keels or anything like that. So look at that, we are quite happily spinning the boat on a dime. Now let's just hold position there. And now I'm just going to slip the boat to starboard. Very predictable, guys. So if you are not a powerboater, if you fancy this style of powerboat, you have come from a sailing yacht, you want to do your cruising boat life that you have done before on your 40, 50, 60 foot sailing yacht, but now you want to do it at 27 knots cruising speed, which you absolutely can on something like this. Don't be afraid of docking a vessel of this style, because with this technology, it really is turning it into a one-person operation if required. You do have the option for a docking station out the back there, and I've used a technology called DockMate. I assume it's available in America as well, which is just a joystick version of this. So there's many options for you, but from what I'm seeing right now, for this boat, for the way you're using it around here, I wouldn't even bother about any of that, because it's quite well designed in the first place. Alright, very good. Let's get this thing into the marina. We'll wrap this video up for you. So, welcome to Booth Bay Harbour up in Maine, guys. I had to change the scenery for the end of this video because I do like to try and bring you along to nice places, and it wasn't the best weather for the end of that video there. So I figured I'd wrap it up in one of the most beautiful locations that I found so far. This is a really awesome place, and the kind of place that you would come to on a Sabre. And as a matter of fact, I just drove past a Sabre 66, not even 100 meters over there. They're all just enjoying themselves on the back of the boat. So proof in point right there. So Sabre 58 Salon Express, what are my thoughts on that boat? What does it compare with, or who should you compare it with? I think you should compare it with the Riviera 585 SUV, the one that I have just tested. You can find it on my channel. Definitely put it up alongside the Palm Beaches as well. And you could also be a Nordhaven person, and I know that is a different style of thinking. So where am I going with this? The Sabre gives you a wide range for your area of operations. If you want to cruise at that 8 to 10 knots, you're going to get a long range out of that thing because it's quite efficient. But you've also got the option to bump it up and just cruise at 27 knots. That's not a problem as well. Quite clearly, if looks are important to you and you want a gorgeous boat, well then the Sabre's going to do that for you. And then I guess I touch on this more in the walkthrough, separate video. If you want something that's beautiful but not over the top with maintenance, I think the Sabre can achieve that because they're not covering the decks in too much timber. There's a little bit, looks great, but not too much, and that's really, really awesome for our environment. But for a flat running, comfortable, well insulated, amazing visibility and easy to maneuver 65 foot worth of boat, it's just a dream. It really is at the top there in terms of the construction and the feeling that you get when you drive and walk through, and as I have now done, go and visit their factory. So yeah, if you're going to be comparing it with other boats, make sure it's the top quality ones. That's my thoughts. I'll link to one of the other boats right now. You can go check out what you think of some of the competition. Let me know what you think. Do subscribe, please support the channel, and I've got a Patreon as well, so if you want to get on there and to help me out as I travel the world searching boats for you, I'd appreciate it. Thanks very much, guys. My name's Dan Jones. You've been watching Dan's Boat Life. See you on the next one.